So, I haven't made a video on Five Nights at Freddy's theories in a while. The reason being that Sister Location changed, well, everything. The game changed not only the game structure, gameplay, and setting drastically from the previous four, it also contorted and shifted so much of what we thought we knew from the previous titles. And while this may be nothing new for a Five Nights title, as every new game in the series added or changed a crucial story element, signature theme, preconceived reality, and basic structure of storytelling, this game changed the series in such a way that, without first looking at how and what it altered, a theory on this game would be impossible. This game changed the way the story was represented in such a way it obliterated everything we knew about key characters, and left people like me wondering, does this game solve or make the game series better? Or does it just muddy the waters and complicate the pre-established norms of the game so much that it ends up changing the game for the worse? And that is something I've been pondering since I finished the game, and although I don't have a definitive answer, I think I can shed some light on how we look at and treat this game. All the way back when this game was first starting to be teased, it was different from many of the other titles, and it was honestly a little disappointing. Unlike 2, 3, and 4, it didn't really leave anything for us to speculate about. There were a couple mysterious images thrown in there for color, but in combination with the trailer and the images on Scott Cawthon's website, the characters, settings, and names were all but confirmed. We were left waiting without something to speculate about. And yet, unanswered questions the teaser images and trailer left us were there. There was still so much to wonder about, but we weren't given enough information to get anything concrete. And that's when this game's problem started. The game answered the wrong questions. The interesting part of making theories was the idea that you were discovering something. When the first image of a character appeared on ScottGames.com, the community was left to wonder who this new antagonist was and how they fit into the story. But once you could see everything, that left only the context to be found out. But context isn't something you can glean without proper information. The teasers and trailers didn't give people any clues. We were given blatant information, irrefutable, inarguable, and clear material, but we had no idea how it fit into anything. Now cut to the game's release. We're given partial context, the purpose of the facility the protagonist is in, who the antagonists are, and a basic understanding of what happened to Freddy Fazbear's, a connection to the original series. But once again, these pieces of lore are given in the forefront. They are non-issues. And although a lot can be said about many of the details and what Custom Night brought to the table in the way of speculation, players were still left with a question. How does this affect the game's story at large? And that's a complex question that I don't have all the answers to, but I want to present a new question. Is the game a sequel or a spin-off? Until this question is answered, we will never have the answer to how this game affects the lore. The game itself doesn't have a new number in front of it. It isn't Five Nights at Freddy's 5, and the community almost completely collectively treated the game as a spin-off when it was first announced. But when the game was released, that opinion seemed to shift. People started to treat the game like a straight sequel, part of the linear plot that the previous 4 games had led. And thinking about it in this way made it, to put it bluntly, outright confusing. The story of the games was always about a series of murders that had taken place or was somehow intertwined with the same restaurant franchise. But not only did Sister Location take the Fazbear out of Freddy, it took the children out of the forefront of the story. We used to be following the stories of the children who had lost their lives, one way or another. But now, as far as all speculation and theory can tell at this point, we're following the story of the family who murdered the children. And this role reversal did 2 major things. It didn't answer any questions from the previous story, unlike all of the other games. The story of the children and their murders was no longer what the community had to speculate about. It also created a brand new storyline, a new linear path that we can follow, with new secondary characters, protagonists, antagonists, and character arcs. Does this muddy the waters? Yes. It creates new problems and questions for the original story that we will never get a complete answer to. But does it affect the original 4 games negatively? That's a trickier question to answer because it's not the 5th game in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. It's the first game in the Sister Location series, and until the new book or a second Sister Location based game comes out, we will not be able to answer how it affects the original games. This is why creating theories for this game is so difficult. We're not being given information without context, this is the context. This is a setup to a new story that is so intertwined with and yet so blatantly distant from the previous games that it makes it impossible, as of now, to create a plausible connection and prediction of how the original game series and Sister Location are related, and how the next game, book, or even movie will play out. So until then, I'll lay low on the theories. Everything I've been able to come up with was either filled with holes or was filled up with so much guesswork and fill in the blanks that I wasn't confident enough to show it. So, what is the conclusion? What was I trying to get across in this video? I guess the best way to put it is this. We don't know what the games, books, and movie has in store for us. We can't possibly create a perfect prediction of what happens next. But what we can do is recognize that Sister Location is no longer telling the same story as the other games. It is telling a new narrative that, although it is connected with the original titles, is so wildly different, we can't possibly think about the two in the same way if we want to make progress. So until next time, this has been Mr. Geeky. We'll see you next time.